as it stands. So an analysis perhaps is a dialogue between multiple analysts, and contributions there perhaps from different disciplines. Andrew earlier mentioned the word pleasure, and in my interactive analysis I've very much tried to make the analysis some kind of computer game almost, not quite, a chance to play with the music and to learn about it, and perhaps developing that a step further become shared play, where different people are contributing, playing with the sound in different ways. And very much engaging with music in its own medium, sound. Not exclusively, I think words and diagrams are also important, but because it is so rich in itself and so multidimensional, to be able to explore that sound, pick out different dimensions of it through interactive oral sketches, rather like reductive graphs that you have in a Schenkerian analysis, say, but in an oral form in software to allow people to explore the piece in sound, and enabling the reader to interact with the sound. So in fact the reader becomes much more than just a reader. Again, someone asked me the other day when I was giving a presentation of one of my analyses, was I working towards a grand theory of analysis? And my answer was no. I don't think it's the right intellectual climate these days to try and propose something like an equivalent to a Schenkerian theory. But also I think that repertoire that we saw earlier that's so diverse, I don't think that encourages it either. So my own approach is very much to take each work on its own terms and decide what is appropriate for that, and the word pertinent came up earlier from someone, I think to ask whatever questions are pertinent in each particular case, and then whatever tools come out of those to expand those for different contexts. So developing tools and strategies for use in a variety of situations, and not all tools will necessarily be useful in all situations. For certain tools, such as the ones we've seen this afternoon, are obviously of quite wide applicability, but even then I don't think we should assume they'd apply in every situation. I think we need to take each work in its own terms, decide what is pertinent for it. Again, this idea of playing with the music, sort of things that Seymour Papert developed in terms of maths and so on, learning through interaction, doing analysis rather than reading it, so that what would have been called the reader of the analysis actually becomes a doer of analysis, engaging with the sound, coming up with their own ideas, and we can create tools that allow people to do that. Tools that will help people to develop a deep and informed experience of works, and then the sharing of those. So not aiming at a single interpretation, but a diversity of views. And so really just to summarise, why analyse? Well, for me it's because I enjoy expanding my experience of a work, and I also want to share what I find with others and help them to develop their experience, and I like to learn from others by seeing what they've done in studying a piece, and it also inspires me as a composer. So I think the emphasis in analysis should move more towards the oral, not at the total expense of the visual or the textual, but certainly much more towards the oral than it has done in the past, and tools therefore that can help people to hear the piece in terms of interactive charts, interactive oral sonograms, tools to play with the techniques that the composer used to create the music, interactive technical exercises, so people can learn, a bit like doing harmony and counterpoint. If you don't know how cadences work, how modulations work, you perhaps can't understand fully understand the meaning of how the composer has shaped that particular work. But if you can learn how a particular electroacoustic technique works, what the possibilities of it are, if that can be presented to people in a non-technical way, then they can perhaps begin to see the potential and why a composer has done a particular thing. And so oral presentations of the structure and shape of the music and a chance to play with it. So I hope that hasn't been too random. It's been things I've jotted down during the day. I think the main message I get from today is that it's been very rich, both in terms of the different types of music we've heard about, in terms of different approaches and ideas people have got to analysis, in terms of the tools that are being developed here as part of this project. And I think the diversity may lead to quite a lot of confusion, but I think it can also lead to a lot of excitement, and I don't think we need to worry too much about the diversity. I think it's good if we can explore lots of potential and then not worry too much about tidying it up until a bit later on, see what comes out and sort things out once we've created the mess. So anyway, hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Any immediate responses to Michael before we just conclude? Thoughts? Anything missing from his summary?
I've got lots missing. I'm sorry to apologise to those people who gave really good ideas that I didn't have time to type down.
It wasn't well phrased by me.
No.
Well, I invited Leigh and myself to sort of join Michael just to conclude. Leigh, would you like to say a few words before I issue an invitation to the next symposium?
Well, having done a summary just before lunch and had an offering of what we're doing after lunch, I won't bore you with another one. But what I would like to say is I'm still rather shocked by the consistency of remarks throughout the morning. And that from people of diverse interests and backgrounds, there's a commonality of interest that I didn't quite expect to experience today. And I think that gives me a great sense of hope that the steps that we're undertaking with this project will be able to be harmonized well with Payman's interest in something that we can't represent in the software, but nonetheless we're all interested in it. Or Dennis is wondering how the hell we're ever going to deal with space after all these years about talking about it and so on and so forth. All of these problems are right there. But if we acknowledge the fact that analysis is relevant, serves several purposes, not the least of which is actually getting people interested in what we do and involved with what we do, then I think we've made a couple of decent steps in assuming this might be pertinent, and hopefully the community of interest around Mike's project will grow, and that means that this will serve everybody and not just us. So I think that's really all that needs to be said at this point.
I've got some concluding remarks, some practical, more practical than others. First, if any of those that just did their 10 minutes could, if they haven't left a copy of their slides somewhere, could they email it to me? We'll just get them together into a little folder and put them on Orama in due course so that people can just see the slides that were up. Might only make sense to those that were here, but that doesn't matter. I'd love them if they could be available.
It'll add to their guilt for not having come.
Absolutely. And as Leigh just alluded to, part of the ideas behind this project is to create a wider community. It's fragmented, fabulous places at work worldwide, and no, I did not advertise this symposium worldwide because I wanted eye contact from there to there. And this was not going to be an international conference. But in due course, we wish to, of course, move things into the much more public domain, the ultimate public domain. That said, we've got a provisional date for Symposium 2. It has to be checked against a couple of calendars of Wednesday the 29th of February. Mike is very much hoping, and indeed I'm backing him, to get the actual first core members of Orama to come and discuss the issues of running a website as much as the actual content. Is that right, Mike? We're going to get together on the 29th. We'll get them, and there will be a little Orama section of the symposium to say, how do communities form? What are the best tools for, not just for the analysis of the music, we're going to go on doing that, but to get the tools, to get the community to then develop the tools in a rational and hopefully reinforcing loop in one way or another. So provisionally set as Wednesday the 29th of February. Oh, it's Leap Day, isn't it? That'll be very appropriate. That's great. So thank you very much to the presenters, thank you very much to Michael, and thank you to everybody who has come and you've contributed in every way possible. Thank you.